What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Bolero Sam here with the Sultan of Sando, Mr. Gablim, and Mr. Maui Yap. What's up, guys?
Ayaw tayo papahingayin ng UAAP. Kahit on a Wednesday, may bangers.
Both games were
Daming.
pretty close.
Insane. We're still getting these on a Wednesday.
Pero bago natin pag-usapan yung close games na yon and some more bad news for Lasal, we do have to talk about our sponsor for today. Gab, please take it away.
This episode is brought to you by our friends from Varsity Lifestyle Co. Varsity Lifestyle, they're the official outfitters merchandise of the UAAP. For the UE fans out there, I know it's a disappointing season. Maybe to wash away the tears and the sadness, maybe you'd want to get some UE gear from Varsity Lifestyle Co. And want to follow in Chris Gavina's passionate post-game rant and, and appear on the game. So if you want to purchase some merchandise for your school, you can use the voucher code Boleros, and you get 10% off your order. So I know it's been a tough season for UE fans and for LaSalle fans, but come out to support your team. I think they've both been fighting pretty hard this season.
Okay, speaking of UE and Lasal, let's talk about that first game. Gab, binati mo to kasi sabi mo, UE always shows up against Lasal and they were up 22 points against this Lasal team before Kian Baclaan helped rally the team. Were you surprised?
Before we get to that, Sammy, I think we do have to address the Kian Baclaan injury before we get to the game.
Because I think sige.
Yeah, because I think that's one of the main story, if not the main story, and I think a lot of people want to hear what we have to say. And this is what I have to say. I'm not a Kian Baclaan stan or fan. I respect his game. I love the way he plays, but I'm not a follower or a fan of Kian Baclaan. But I don't think he should have been injured that way. That was a bad dive by Welo Lingo. I think Welo Lingo should be suspended. We've had a couple of ejections already in season 88. Both have not led to suspension. If you recall, Ian Espinosa and si Noire Mogat were both thrown out of games. Si Ian Espinosa was for 2 faking a foul calls, technical fouls. Si Noire Mogat was for 2 unsportsmanlike fouls in which he did not make a play for the ball during 2 fast break attempts by the Ateneo Blue Eagles. Both did not lead to suspensions. But I think this warrants a suspension. I believe that the dive by Lingo was reckless, irresponsible, and dangerous. That has no place in the game of basketball. I think I don't agree with Chris Gavina. I agree with the refs. I think he was rightfully ejected from that game. Why? Now you may say na he was si Chris Gavina, diba? Parang he was fairly diving for the loose ball.
Mm-hmm.
It was a loose ball. He dove for it. Everyone was on the floor. So why was he ejected? For me, the intent does not matter. That's why I didn't call it a dirty play, because I don't know what his intention was. He could have really been going for the ball.
So even if you give him the benefit of the doubt, na maybe it wasn't intentional, the play itself was, you're saying,
was
reckless, worth an unsportsmanlike, and worth the suspension. No? That's where you're going. It doesn't matter what his intentions were.
Yes, because I liken it to when someone undercut someone, like on a fast break, kunyari ba, yung someone flies in for a dunk, then a defender just happens to go underneath yung uppercut sa sahuran mo, and it leads to a bad fall. Someone might hit his head, yung break his arm. I liken it to that. It wasn't intentional to undercut someone, but you did undercut someone, and that was reckless and dangerous, and could have led to a bad injury. If you undercut someone and they hit their head, more than an injury, yung maybe even a life you could be taken, diba? That's how dangerous that play was. And what Welo Lingo did, irrespective of his intentions, he did try to hurt Kian Baclacan or whether he did try to go for the ball, that play was reckless. It was reckless, it was dangerous, so I think the ejection is warranted and I think he should be suspended. You saw how Kian Baclacan's knee went the opposite direction and went on what it was supposed to, on where it was supposed to go. That could have ended. Well, it could end Kian Baclacan's career if the injury is that bad. Now he was seen exiting the arena without a brace. He was on a wheelchair. He looked fine, diba? So, but the play itself could have led to something dangerous and possibly career-ending. Diba? If that could lead to a Sean Livingston type of knee injury. Diba? Yung matagal, yung mawala, all ligaments in his knees are torn. Pwede yun mangyari. The way na nabagsakan si Kian. So, for me, I don't agree with Chris Gavina. I thought the ejection was warranted. Actually, if he didn't get the technical foul early in the game and he just committed this one, I still think he should have been ejected. It was reckless. It was dangerous on his part to do that. And again, I think he should be suspended. I think Jai Reyes will have to make that decision that he should suspend Welo Lingo. If you don't agree with me, look in the comments. For me, ganun eh. Dangerous play. It led to an injury. It could end the career. Knock on wood, yung sana hindi. Maui.
Yeah. I think we discussed this in our group chat, diba? I think it's not about intent when it comes to Welo Lingo. I think nag-change na rin yung rules ng UAAP when it comes to intent. They have easily called sportsmanlike fouls for stopping fast breaks, for dangerous plays, over the head fouls. I think that's where it's more common than this. I think I would have to agree with Gab that I think si Welo Lingo would probably, this is probably the first ejection that warrants suspension from the UAAP. I know maybe a frustration ni Coach Chris kasi he knows maybe there was no intention. So, but at the end of the day, you have to protect the players, diba? When you do reckless stuff on the court, regardless of intention, it has to be penalized. And I think this is that case that needs to be penalized. Another thing is sobrang tagal ng loose ball. I kept on replaying the loose ball possession. It was too long. I think the referees should do a better job of calling whatever on the floor. We're not American football where players have to keep on diving on the floor to play to get the basket, diba? I mean, Welo Lingo just probably did his job of trying to get the basketball because it was a tightly contested game. But to prevent these types of situations, I think the referees have to do a better job of controlling the game. That was just too long of a loose ball. Si Kian Baclacan was on the floor too long, getting hit left and right, you could say. But I think si Chris Gavina is really trying to milk also yung sentiment ng mga tao right now when it comes to the referees, and I think it's a bit warranted.
Mm-hmm. He's the third
what happened
recently.
Yeah, if you watch the press conference, he said that he's not even the first to call out the referees, and Jai Reyes, Commissioner Jai, has probably has so many headaches right now because left and right. I mean, if it's
He's
only
probably regretting taking the job.
probably regretting
Welcome
taking
to the
job.
UAAP.
Kasi di ba, they say if it's only one case or one coach, it could be just him being bitter. But if it's multiple coaches, if it's multiple players saying that the referees need to do a better job, then I think it's on the league to do a better job when it comes to calling the games. We don't want maganda actually if you watch yung interview ni Mike Phillips about the injury. He didn't put any blame. He didn't say that si Lingo had bad intentions. But at the end of the day, it's part of the referee's job, diba, to prevent these types of altercations in the game. And I think that not calling anything for close to probably 10 to 15 seconds was a bit ludicrous for me. And that would really, I mean, that would really lead to players diving the ball because it's a loose ball as si Coach Chris mentioned. But yeah, I would have to agree. At the end of the day, we have to penalize players who do reckless stuff on the court. And I think this is the first real suspension warranted for the UAAP.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you look at yung dalawang na-mention ni Gab na previous cases where players were thrown out, compare mo naman yung gravity nun versus yung gravity nito. Na it led to a player getting injured, diba? And siguro, like, I didn't get to watch. I don't think any of you got to watch live. Pero maganda rin yung sinabi ni Jacob at ni Mike Phillips. Na-shock daw sila at how loud Baklaan was screaming in pain nung na-injure siya. So, it looked that bad. Actually, you can hear it, but I'm sure it was a lot worse nung dun sa court mismo. So,
I couldn't watch it. I watched it once. I didn't want to watch the replay again.
Hindi ko na rin pinanood sa YouTube. I know, Maui, you reviewed it. But, I agree. Like, it didn't, to be honest, sa nakita ko, it didn't seem like may bad intentions naman si Welo Lingo-Lingo. But to Gab's point, it doesn't matter kung may bad intentions ka or not. But the fact na it's a reckless play, I think, is what should warrant the ejection and maybe the suspension. But we don't know yet. So, up to Commissioner Jai Reyes, we'll find out soon, probably, on what they'll decide to do with Welo Lingo-Lingo. Sayang lang because Welo Lingo-Lingo was playing really well.
We'll talk about that later. He was on fire.
He was on fire. Maui, you're saying something?
Yeah, I just have to add. I think si Commissioner Jai will probably not be sleeping tonight. Kasi with all the profanity that Coach Chris mentioned sa post-game, I wouldn't be surprised if he also gets probably a 1-game suspension.
That's true. Actually, that's a good point. After his post-game interview, no? So, UE might not have a coach and a starter in their next game. Let's talk about the game. Kasi...
One last point, Sam. Maui brought up a good example kanina about head contact. Diba? When you hit someone on the head, that's usually an unsportsmanlike foul called. And most of the time, players don't really target the head. They target the ball and then they accidentally get contact on the head. Diba, no one really targets the head in basketball. Or rarely, unless you're a really dirty
most
player.
Of the time.
Yung unless your name is not Draymond, unless your name is Draymond Green. Diba? You don't really target the head. There was a Draymond Green, nag-headlock pa ng tao eh. So,
hindi si Draymond Green, below the belt din yung target.
Ibang head tinatarget ni Draymond Green.
Ibang target niya eh.
Ibang head pala tinatarget ni Draymond. Yeah, but in most cases of head contact during basketball, you're usually trying to go for the ball. You're usually trying to block a shot. Then it just so happens that you hit the head. I think that happened twice last season, which led to bleeding on the court. Diba si Precious Momoe and si Moto
Precious
Cara,
Momoe, both plays, yeah.
Yeah, so It's not intentional. Players were not going for the head, but the play was reckless. And head contact is dangerous. It's a dangerous play, reckless, and an irresponsible play. This is the same thing. That was an irresponsible dive, a reckless dive by Welo Lingo that ended up hurting a player. And whether he's out for the season or multiple years, I hope it's not the case. It's still a bad play. Okay, so let's go to the game. You mentioned this, Sammy, and I mentioned this to the two of you guys. It looked like last year, first round, UE Lasal. Diba? That's what it looked like. I don't remember last year. It was also played in MOA. It was also played in MOA. Welolingo was also Welolingo was also on fire. John Abate was also on fire. This was the exact same thing. UE was up big also last year. UE was up big also in this game. And I texted you guys, sabi ko, parang deja vu. It's happening all over again. Welolingo started out on fire. I think he scored 15 in the first quarter. Correct me if I'm wrong. Precious Momoway came out of the gates aggressive. He was attacking Mike Phillips nonstop. He wanted he wanted everything to do with Mike Phillips. Like, you're guarding me, I'm attacking you each and every time. What a great start by UE in that first quarter. They were on fire. But on the other end, on LaSalle's part, I thought their defense was atrocious. And I pointed this out in our last episode. I think in our Saxos Osablay segment when we were talking about Coach Topex. I said their defense is bad. They let people waltz to the rim at will. And it happened in this game. UE got so many paint points which led to wide open threes by Welo Lingo. Two of those led to fouls. He shot 6 free throws off of jump shooting fouls. Those are bad fouls if you're fouling a jump shooter. The perimeter guys were just being broken down over and over again by guys like Moling Tapang, Lingo, John Abate was creating for his teammates over and over again. They let UE score 33 points. And we're going to talk about Mike Phillips later. This is the first time I've seen Mike Phillips gassed. By the fourth quarter pa lang, he was gassed. He might still have been running and getting shot blocks, but his help defense was late. Precious Momoway was blowing by him multiple times in the fourth quarter and in overtime. He was tired. He got cramps. First time I've seen Mike Phillips get cramps. And the big reason for this is Mike Phillips has to cover so much ground because his teammates on the perimeter are not stopping drives. They're able to get through the perimeter defenders over and over again. So Mike Phillips has to help.
Are they relying on Mike Phillips too much?
Yes. Defensively, they are. They're masyado silang kampante to let people pass them and then Mike Phillips just behind them. But
diba?
Mike Phillips can't cover everyone. Diba? He's playing help defense over and over again. And I think that exhausted him in this game. First quarter pa lang, I think he was subbed out midway or more than midway. And by that fourth quarter, he looked tired. First time I've seen him look tired. So
sa lagay na yun, I think he sat for a while. I think he
sat for a while, Sammy, because he was getting winded.
Yeah.
He was getting winded na. And I think the scoreboard reflects how bad LaSalle's defense was. They let UE put up 33 points in the first quarter. Come on. LaSalle, Coach Topex, and the coaching staff, you have to do a better job setting up your defense. I thought that they were playing with fire in trying to get into a running game with UE. I thought they should have just slowed the game down. Slow the game down. Maybe you make it a half-court game. You get more rest for Mike Phillips. You're not in rotation as much because you're making it a half-court game, and you're essentially getting more rest for the rest of the guys and preventing UE and getting those wide open fast break layups because they had a lot. It continued into the second quarter, and honestly, I don't want to say yung blessing in disguise, but the injury to Baclaan kind of got them in it. Now they were shocked, I think, from the injury of Baclaan. I think there was a shot of the bench where they were all down because it looked bad and it sounded bad. But I think it got Jacob Cortez going because he was amazing. He got them back into this game. Yeah, he woke up, and I think with Kian gone, a lot of the offense has to go through him because I think he's the only creator left aside from si Makalala against si Phillips. Si Jacob had to carry the load, and Kian, and I don't want to overshadow Kian Baclaan's yung contributions. He actually got them halfway there yung from a legit comeback. I think he was on fire in the third quarter. Really got LaSalle back in it.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end, it was really until the fourth quarter, their defensive intensity was not as high. Diba? I think until si Kian ultimately got stretchered out, their defense was not really intense. Until that fourth quarter, they stepped up their defense. They were getting defensive stops. They were hustling all over the court. And I said this during the Ateneo game. I'm going to say it now. Why can't you play like that for 4 quarters? Palagi na lang sa dulo sila. Pang kailangan na magkakram sila and they will turn up the intensity. They cannot do this every game. They have to step up their defense all throughout. Because honestly, if you look at their offense, they shot well from the field. They shot well from the free throw line. They had 20 assists. They did not turn the ball over as much. They only had 8 turnovers. Now their 3-point shooting leaves a lot to be desired. I think sabi ni Brix Ramos, they're last in the UAAP in terms of 3-point shooting and 3-point percentage. So maybe that needs work. But field goal shooting, free throw shooting, rebounding, everything was going their way. It was an uncharacteristic LaSalle game in terms of the stats because they were really playing well offensively, just that they weren't getting stops. Not until the fourth quarter. And actually, no overtime, I thought Precious was just gonna carry this UE team to a win. And I do want to go to Precious Momoe.
They were up by 6
can't he play like
overtime when it started.
Why can't he play like this every game, Sam? 42 points? What the fuck?
Ikaw kasi, Gabi. Sinabi
kahit
mo
free
na
throws niya.
most disappointing siya one of the
Free
most
throws niya today were good.
FSAs.
And not so many turnovers.
10 of 14, I think, from the free throw line. Although, Gab, no matter how good Precious was today, we still had to see some classic Precious Momoe moments. He had a fast break na turnover niya. He had a step back 3-point shot in one play. I think there was another one. Nag-turn around fade away midi siya. Kung makontrol lang yun ni Precious Momoe, no?
I know, because Sammy, if Coach Chris Gavina just has to show this game to Precious Momoe and tell him, Precious, if you just park your ass inside the paint, no one can freaking stop you, or at least
not even Mike Phillips.
Diba? Not even Mike Phillips. Mike Phillips was having a tough time on Precious Momoe. He was getting lit up all throughout this game by Mike Phillips. Grabe. He was blowing by guys. He was getting offensive rebounds, putbacks, everything. And to me, Precious, just do this. Get your points inside the paint. Just try again. Face up, go baseline, or go to the middle, and then paint points. Don't do all the shit that Sammy said. Don't do step back threes. Don't try to attack from the perimeter like you're Kevin Durant. No. Just do this. Do this. You scored 42 points. just attacking the paint over and over again. This is the Pressman way we thought we'd see since last season.
Year. Yeah.
And yet, wala.
By the
Mo,
way,
most of the time,
shout out to Precious Momoy for also managing yung fouls niya. Kasi I think he had 3 nung halftime pa lang,
first
but
half, yeah.
stayed in the game all throughout. So just limited to 1 nung second half and overtime. So to be fair to him, that was also a good part of his game today. Anyway, go ahead.
But sobrang disappointing kasi nung end, nawalan na ng gas ang UE Red Warriors. They actually, I think they led for majority of overtime. You have to correct me on that.
They were up 6.
6-0 start
the
yata.
first 6 points ata or something like that.
Yeah. And Mike Phillips, as I said, yung Mike Phillips exited the game with cramps. So Precious had all the advantage in the world, but I have to give a shout out to LaSalle's crowding defense for preventing Pressman away to get that to dominate the overtime period. Maui, Sam, kayo naman. I've been speaking for too long.
Maui, how surprised were you with UE today?
Yeah, actually maganda yung points ni Gab, di ba? I think LaSalle has really struggled to control the paint. I was looking at the UAP stats when Gab was talking, and I actually found out that LaSalle allows the highest field goal, 2-point field goals in the UAP. They may be one of the top scoring teams at number 2, but they allow so many easy baskets in the UAP. I think you can also point out yung Ateneo game where there were so many easy drives to the baskets when they allowed yung isolations. I think a huge part of this is because they don't have Agunane, who was also a very good defender in the paint. Another thing is, we talk about KQ's offense all the time, but they also lost a guard forward who can also patrol the paint. Diba? We always saw KQ going for chase down blocks, going for challenging in the paint, and I think it has taken a toll on Mike Phillips. Si Gab mentioned, this is probably the first time we've seen si Mike totally winded and having cramps in a game to the point that he couldn't come back. That was how crazy the cramps was. Kasi I think yung cramps sa thighs, hindi sa legs, so even harder.
Sa hamstring ata, Maui. He was grabbing his hamstring.
Sa hamstring area. So, I think si Mike Phillips has been relied on for too much on both ends of the floor. I've always said on this podcast, when they rely on Mike too much on offense, that's when they look most vulnerable. And it seems to be both ends of the floor too much. I think the perimeter guys have to do a better job if LaSalle is to turn the season around. You cannot allow a team like UE to score 60 points in the first half. And I think 78 na sila midway through the third when LaSalle started to shut them down. So, that's crazy. Diba? I think USC is the only team that has that luxury because they're scoring 90 points per game, which we'll talk about later. But LaSalle has to do a better job. Now that they've lost Mason Amos, now that we don't know if Kian Baclaan can play, because right now they're starting to look yung pagkalalim ng lineup nila, yung deepness, yung depth ng lineup nila is gonna be challenged. Luis Pablo had to play more minutes a while ago. Si Daep started, I think, the third quarter. Si Abadam had to really have a good game for them to have a chance today. And I think that has to be the case moving forward. Guys like Dungo, Abadam, Goliena, Makalalag will have to have big games if they continue to play defense like this, because this is not championship basketball. This is not the LaSalle that we've seen, diba, in the past few seasons. When they had Kevin Cambao, they were not only good on the offensive end because they had a generational type of talent when it comes to scoring the basketball. They also had a pretty good defense. They usually took advantage of their height, taking advantage of second chance points and limiting offensive rebounds by the opponent. Precious Momoway was just too good today for them. I think they scoring 40 points is crazy. Diba? In a 10-minute game. And for somebody who has struggled mightily
in the presence
season,
of Alvin Pasaol.
in the presence of Alvin Pasaol.
Another UE legend.
I just think LaSalle has to do a better job controlling the paint, especially on the defensive end. You cannot allow teams to score easily because that's where they get that. You remember, modern basketball is all about layups and three-pointers. Diba? That's why UE was almost able to beat them because their three-pointers were falling in and they were getting easy baskets. Any team in the UAP is beatable if they play defense like this. That's how talented I think the pool is. And that's why, if you look at the games of LaSalle, I think you would probably see that maybe 5 out of 6 of the games are decided by 10 points or less. Diba? So very close lahat ng games. To give them credit for today's game, I would say that at least they were able to hit their free throws. Imagine if they did not hit their free throws again at a decent rate.
Yung average nila, no? 50%.
Yeah, if they hit their average, they'd probably lose this game. But to God's mercy, they hit 78%, 79% of their free throws, 26 out of 33. But we know that this is a talented offensive team, even with all the injuries, diba? We know Jacob Cortez can easily light up as he did nung second half. But I think they have a lot to do, especially on the defensive end, if they want to be a legitimate title contender.
If you saw yung first like 2 quarters, 3 quarters of this game, akala mo talaga mananalo dito UE. With the way they were playing, I think this is the type of UE team that we were expecting from the very beginning, where majority of the points will come from 3 guys. Si Momoway, si Abate, tsaka si Lingo-Lingo. You mentioned yung 3-point shooting, Mao. UE made 12 3-pointers. Abate and Lingo-Lingo combined for 11. Only one other player made the 3. It was mostly Abate and Welo Lingo-Lingo. That was crazy for me. Parang everything was going in for the 3 guys of UE. But I think Baclaan, Cortez, Mike Phillips willed this team to the W. There's one thing that I do want to talk about. Kasi we talked about Coach Topex being on the hot seat. Ngayon, my question is, if si Kian Baclaan is out for an extended period and Mason, we know, is sort of out for an extended period, and worst case scenario, LaSalle does not make it to the Final Four, do you think Coach Topex will still be on the hot seat, or will they just sort of say na, okay, we lost players?
LaSallians don't care.
They don't care. Kahit na injure na yung 2 of their starters. Hindi pa
siguro kung si Mike Phillips siguro yung initially na injured, diba? I mean, people can probably give him a little leeway, but with Mike Phillips still there, I mean, he's arguably one of the top players. Diba? There's a reason why all of 3 of us picked him as the MVP for this season, and why he was second last year. Siguro pwede pa, pero any other injuries, they don't care. I won't care.
kung ikaw yung fan, no? Ikaw, Gab.
Yeah, same. They're too talented to... Yes, Baclaan and Amos are stars and they're pretty important to the team, but you invested a lot in this roster. You still have a lot of talent on this roster. You spent a lot on this roster. So, having 2 guys go down is not an excuse for Coach Topex. Again, kung si Maui, siguro kung si Mike Phillips, yung na-injure no start pa lang, maybe he'll have an excuse. Pero the fact that he's had Mike Phillips and LaSalle is still not putting it together, and despite these two injuries, you still have a lot of talent to go. Which I want to ask you, how are they gonna make up for
That was
Baclaan's
my
absence?
next question. Kasi with Mason Amos, you mentioned Noangco. Noangco actually started this game, although hindi na siya nakabalik. But those are some of the guys that we mentioned, Noangco and Pablo. With Bakla and Gun, sino naman who are we expecting to step up? Is it going to be someone like a Boris Marasigan, another scorer? Or do you just let one of the bigger guys, more defensive guys play, like Earl Abadam or EJ Golyena?
Ako, if you were to ask me, I would say probably si Abadam and Makalalag are the ones that should step up. These two are the proven guys, di ba, from the previous season. Si Abadam was injured last year, but in previous seasons, he was their gunner.
He had a great game, by the way, today.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, I think it's no coincidence that the two of them put up probably... Yeah, it's no coincidence. They were the two guys that shot the most today when Baclaan went down. I think they have to step up. Si Makalalag probably cannot have another 0 for 8 game. Si Abadam will probably have to score close to 10 points. Kasi if you think about it, they're not actually just losing, di ba si Kian, they're losing Mason. So they're probably losing close to 20 plus points a game. And if you cannot correct what's wrong with your defense, then certainly there has to be somebody that has to step up on offense.
It will be it. Go, Sammy.
No, I like the picks. I think for Makalalag lang, he looked like he was bothered by the mask. I think yun lang yung problem with him. Not making his shots. He went over 8. He had a ton of open shots also, I think. So, hopefully, masanay na siya. Sorry, na-mute pala ako. Kasi, I think he was big for Lasal last year, especially when Abadam was out. Gab.
My wish on who would replace Kian Baclaan, at least in the starting 5, is Doy Dungo. Coach Tupex was experimenting with Doy Dungo at point guard last season. I don't know if I doubt na si Gian Gomez biglang magiging backup point guard ni Jacob Cortez. I highly doubt that. I do think they'll go with a combination of Dungo and Makalalag for extra ball handling without Kian Baclaan. I don't think Kian Baclaan is coming back on Sunday against UP because that looked like a bad injury. If ever there's no structural damage, at least there will be some inflammation and it will be painful. So I doubt he's coming back in a few days to play against the UP Fighting Maroons. I guess UP Fighting Maroons fans will be happy with that because they don't like Kian Baclaan that much. So, but my money, and I hope that Doy Dungo actually steps up. I've been very high on Doy Dungo. He's shown some ball handling, some playmaking. He can score the basketball off the dribble. He can make threes. Let's see. But I think the safe bet would be for a guy like JC Makalalag, who has had some extra ball handling responsibilities since last season. So it's not unfamiliar territory for JC Makalalag. So I think Makalalag will start beside Cortez, and si Abadam will be the extra small forward, the extra wing to go along with if Coach Topex still wants to start Bright Noangco and Mike Phillips together. I think you'll eventually see LeBron James take over the starting power forward role because they need shooting in that lineup, and I think LeBron has shown that he has the stroke from the outside. I think they will eventually go to him. Although honestly, decent naman yung Bright Noangco minutes kanina. I have no idea why they didn't play him more.
Hindi na siya binalik. He got the dunk.
No.
Yeah,
he was.
Yeah. He got the dunk. Yeah.
He did. He did yung get a dunk, Sammy. I mean, he was decent. I don't understand why you won't play him more. But he just has to stand
in 6 minutes. But second half dapat.
I get that now, but in the second half, especially when Mike Phillips was dead tired, I think they could have used some Bright Nwankwo for some extra rim protection. Again, he's big. He just has to be big. He doesn't have to be spectacular, but he just has to be big, and he's huge. Bright Nwankwo is huge. So yun lang sa akin. UP is gonna be a tough task for this LaSalle team without Kian Baclahan. Let's see. It's the coming into the season, it was the biggest game on the calendar. I don't know if the luster has
That's true.
is still there for UP and LaSalle. I still think it is still there. That we'll be getting a packed house at Araneta. So
Araneta.
Let's see. Definitely a game to watch, and I'm sure UP fans are anticipating that to get some revenge or some much needed trash talking against the LaSalle fans.
Imagine if natalo LaSalle today against UE and then next game mo is the hottest team, UP, with a 3-game winning streak. Buti na lang nanalo yung LaSalle today. Let's talk about the other game. UST versus FEU. FEU keeping this close, but UST getting the W at the end. Si Kyle Paranada, I think, exploded. Si Jello Crisostomo continued his hot streak from the last game against Ateneo. Is FEU a bad good team, or are they just anong kulang sa FEU because they keep
or maybe a
making
good
it close?
bad team.
Good bad team. Yeah. Are they a bad good team or are they a good bad team? Because I'm confused about this FEU team. Maui.
Yeah, I think that's a good approximation of what FEU is. I think FEU is better than what their record reflects. But at the end of the day, I think what lacks is BJ Pre. I mean, I think they lack one more player to take them to the top. Diba? I mean, coming to the season, that player was supposed to be Kirby Moncopa, and he has been as good as advertised, I would say. Even despite being out for 2 seasons. I think si Pasaol has been a welcome surprise. I think nobody expected him to be this good. Putting up Ray Remogat UE numbers this season. I think he's number 2 in scoring right now, second only to Nick Cabanero. He's leading the league in assists, getting a ton of rebounds, steals, blocks. All of the, if you want to draft a fantasy player in the UAAP, Pasaol is probably one of the top players you would get. And it's not just that, diba? When you watch the games, he has impact on both ends of the floor. I think that's what's good with Pasaol. But ironically, the record of FEU, diba? I've said this in the past. You cannot start the UAP season this bad, 0-4, 1-5, diba? Something like that, because it's pretty hard to rally in the second round when all teams want to get a win under their column. But I think they lack yung firepower lang. But in terms of like coaching, in terms of like players, maybe if the UAP, the other teams did not get this strong, maybe they would be a better. If this was a team that competed last year, I think they'd have a better chance. It's just that grabe yung stack ng UAP teams this year. And I think UST is a testament to that. Just look at UST. Today, di ba? Paranada was the leading scorer. But if you look at the box score, if you watch the game, they had 5 players in double figures. Fortsky was the guy in the first half. Crisostomo was the guy that hit 2 big threes. Cabanero was the guy hitting every shots to stop FEU runs. I think UST is just on another level right now. And I think it's warranted that you mentioned in our previous episode, I think, Sam, that UST is probably the team to beat. Even si Coach Willie Wilson, when I guest on Nav's podcast, we did the fantasy draft. Si Coach Willie said that maybe a UST is the team to beat. And it's no surprise. They are by far the best offensive team in the UAAP right now. They're scoring 90 points a game. That's even scoring 90 points in a season is a bit crazy in the UAAP. But we're having a lot of games getting 100. Diba? That's how good teams are right now, and that's how good people are starting to look to get shooting the three-pointer. Kasi if you look at yung free throw shooting ng UAAP, it's still probably at its historical average, di ba? Maybe close to 70% is good for any team. But teams are putting up more numbers. A lot of people are scoring more points. If you look at the UAAP, a lot of players are over 15 points per game. And UST is actually a team that has so many weapons. Si Amel Asido did not score a lot today, but he was averaging 9 points a game. Si Mark Lemit hasn't even had a big game. Si Paranada has been up and down, but when you have a Caballero, when you have an Akowe and Fortsky, who are consistently scoring every game, si Crisostomo has also broken out after that Ateneo game. This is a very deadly team. And it looks like the champion. It looks very similar to the championship team ni Coach Pido. When there were so many wing players, you didn't know who to defend on the perimeter. So many wing players contributing on both ends of the floor. I think that's what has to be said with UST. They score the most points, but they know how to lock down, and that was the case also in the fourth quarter. Against FEU. Si Fortsky is underrated as a defender. He was so instrumental in...
He's so smart as a defender.
The box score probably does not reflect it, but if you watch the game, was so instrumental in stopping Pasaol get the basketball ng fourth quarter, forcing Joric Bautista to create and find the shot kasi grabe yung ball denial kay Fortsky. And you don't usually see that from one of your best players, diba? So that's when you know that you are probably a top contender or a championship contender. Very exciting. I think UST is the most exciting team to watch. And so far, they've been to the most overtime games with that trailer against Ateneo. And I think the good thing about these teams, they've showed they could win by outscoring you, but they could also win in a numerous number of ways.
Syempre, yung offense is exciting, Maui. I mean, scoring is exciting. I mean, no one wants to watch defense, which is why mahirap nga yung minsan panoorin yung Adamson games. You really have to love defense to watch Adamson games. But with regards muna to FEU and to answer Sam's question, is FEU a bad good team or a good bad team? I think they're a good bad team because their top, I think we said this in the preseason, their top end is really talented. But their bench is non-existent. Same as last season. I think Neil Owens is probably the only one contributing off the bench. Diba? Si Jedrick Tao is kind of a token starter. I don't think he does much. He's so disappointing si Jedrick Tao. Then legit. Since last season, he starts games and then the bench players, si Royce Alforque yung plays more than him. Same thing here. Si Neil Owens plays more than Jedrick Tao because Jedrick Tao cannot freaking shoot. That's this problem. If he can't shoot, no one defends him. So, because if you look at the box score of FEU each and every game, it's always Pasaol, Moncopa, Konate, and si Joric actually inconsistent eh. Sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not. But that's it. And you put si Neil Owens yung coming off the bench. The rest, look at the
Felipe then. You can put
just look at the starter minutes. The starter minutes
Sammy,
will tell you the story.
You just look at the stats that Felipe puts up. He puts up next to nothing. Same as Daa.
Sorry, I mean minutes. Minutes, si Felipe.
Minutes, yeah. Not so much also. It's really si Owens yung fifth starter talaga nila, yung true fifth starter, si Neil Owens. Si Felipe and si Daa, they're the real bench guys and they don't produce. Same as the others, sila Ona, Baguno, Makapagal, they don't produce off the bench. They're so top heavy. Same thing. It's been the story right now, I think, since the UP game. They're out of gas come the fourth quarter. Mo Konate in the UP game, and even in this game, was running on fumes. Sobrang pagod. And he's going up against Colin Sakoe. He went up against the front line of UP. He's playing so many minutes. And wala na siya
38 per game.
Leading the league in minutes played for the second straight season. Mo Konate.
Exactly. They're out of gas come crunch time, come winning time. It was pretty obvious in the UP game. It's obvious in this game. They were actually still in this game in the fourth quarter, but they didn't have enough energy to execute and to run with the UST Growling Tigers, because as we've seen in their triple overtime game, this UST Growling Tigers team is so well conditioned that they can run up and down for 4 quarters, and FEU just didn't have enough. And so that's the first thing why I think they're really struggling to close out games. They're so top heavy. Yung naubusan sila yung by the time it's come to the fourth quarter. Second, I think, now we didn't mention him in the hot seat section of our Swak Sacks and Sablay, but some of the blame has to go to Coach Sean Chambers, because the offense is getting too repetitive. I do recall in their loss to UP, they were running the dribble handoff action to Pasaol and Bautista over and over again. UP had seen that so many times. They had figured out how to stop it, and they were still running it. Even in the last play of the game, when UP was up by 3 and they had a chance to tie, they were still running the same yung dribble handoff action that UP had seen now for 4 quarters straight, and they were still running it. And I was so frustrated at Coach Sean Chambers and run something else to get these guys free. Di ba? Ang hirap na pare-pareho lang. Alam na ng UP kung paano pigilan, pero yun pa rin yung offense mo. Same thing here. Fortsky knew already how to deny yung Pasaol the ball. And Pasaol was their top guy in this game. But they couldn't get Pasaol free because they were still running the same damn action that Fortsky already knew how to stop. So frustrating. Coach Sean Chambers, to step up his offensive game, especially in the clutch, should diversify it, because teams have figured it out already. It's going to Janray, it's going to Joric. We're denying them. And the creativity on offense is still not there.
Yun dahil wala silang ibang players na that they can rely on.
It doesn't have to be the other players they can rely on. They can change their offensive. No, change their offensive
sets. For those 3 guys. Other sets for those 3 guys. Okay.
No, ang hirap na puro dribble handoff action eh. Paulit-ulit. I don't know. Sayang. I think si Boom Gonzalez on the call said majority of FEU's losses, except the NU one, have come with 3 points or less. They have a losing margin of 2.6. So they're in the games.
Crazy.
They're in the games. Much like their losses when they started 0-5 last season, they are in the games. They're not getting blown out over and over again. So the top end talent of FEU, especially si Mo Konate, I think has to be given props. But at some point, Coach Sean Chambers, you have to diversify your offense, and you have to develop a bench. I'm happy that si Liam Salangsang is finally getting some playing time, but he has to develop yung other players. It can't just be the top guys. Ubos sila yung come the fourth quarter. His top guys play heavy minutes. I think si Coach Sean Chambers is kind of a fan of Thibs, of Tom Thibodeau, because he's running his top 4 or 5 guys to the ground each and every game.
Mo Konate, Janray Pasaol, Joric Bautista, all in the top 10 in minutes played. Just like last year. Tatlo din yung FEU players in the top 10 minutes played. So tama ha. Classic Tibbs coaching style si Coach Sean Chambers. What are your thoughts on Coach Sean Chambers' recruitment powers? Kasi that was one of the things na parang people were excited about when they got Coach Sean Chambers. Maraming connections abroad in the US. Sabi natin, okay, let's give him a year.
Si Neil Owens
first
lang
year,
ginagamit
okay
niya
lang yon. Etong second year, dapat meron na siyang mga recruits, pero parang wala eh. None of the
Wala,
recruits have
Sammy.
panned out abroad.
He's recruiting them, but he's not playing them, except si Neil Owens. He's not playing any of them. Jaden Jones.
Puro mga homegrown.
Oh, puro yung mga FEU high school guys.
That's hindi naman yung recruit niya, puro homegrown nila yun, 'di ba?
So I don't understand. He recruited them, but he's not playing them. Well, he sees them in practice, so maybe he really has more confidence in the top end guys and in the FEU high school guys. But yeah, too top heavy ang FEU. I think we hit this one. We hit the nail in the head on on FEU when we were in the preseason. Masyadong top heavy, especially si Mo Konate. UST, I think Maui yung tama sa lahat eh. Ang dami nilang weapons offensively. Sobrang dami. This team was made...
Two-way players.
Yung sabihin ko, Maui, this team was made for offense and now they're matching it up with good defense. I don't think they're the top defensive team, but they're stopping players. Although they are Colin Sokoe injury away from having that top defense squandered because they rely a lot on Collins to clean up. So si Collins also plays pretty heavy minutes, and they have to preserve him at some point, and they have to make sure he doesn't get injured or pray to St. Thomas na wag ma-injure si Collins ako eh.
Hindi daw yung players na Naval dahil napagod sa triple OT.
Dapat lang. I mean, 51 minutes si Collins ako, papalakarin mo pa? I mean, come on.
Do you, right now, Gab, with the current standings, do you think UST is the team to beat?
Yeah. Yes.
UST NU
I
yan.
do. Yeah. Hirap. Yung nag-hesitate ako because nalala ko na NU beat this UST team. So they are the number 1 seed currently.
Actually,
but yeah, I think this UST team is the team to beat. Ang dami nilang weapons. And if they can keep up this defense, I think they are the team to beat. Maui, go ahead.
Yeah. I think just because UST is without a doubt the number 1 offensive team, and I think middle of the pack when it comes to their defense, when you look at the stats, I think that's the reason why they're the team to beat. Yung firepower is just too much. But NU, I think, is also pretty good just because they're the number 2 defensive team. Of course, the number 1 when it comes to points allowed will be Adamson. But I think that's how close Adamson is. Kasi if you look at yung points allowed din ng Adamson and points scored, very close to NU. It's just that NU has that star power. Maybe some star power with Figueroa to become a contender. If you were to compare NU and actually Adamson and FEU are probably teams that are surprising when it comes to having bad records and yung point differential. Very small point differential for both. But yeah, I would say so far both teams. I think NU and UST ang malaki ang above 5 points of point differential. So it makes sense why they're the top teams so far.
Actually, it's good that you mentioned Adamson. I think if we think about yung good bad team and bad good team, I think FEU, I agree with you, Gab, is a good bad team. I think Adamson right now is a bad good team. We were expecting more from them, but it hasn't converted. With that said, I think Adamson is the last game of UST. Tama ba? Yun yung last
defense versus offense.
Defense versus offense. I think last year Adamson beat UST. So with that said, I think
in the preseason, yung Adamson.
I think it's Philoel, di ba? They beat
sa Asia Basket ata.
Asia Baskets. NU was the one who beat UST
in one of the preseason games. Yeah, tama.
Yeah, so, nung Philoel, NU was the one who beat UST when NU put up 90 points, which is what made me get out of the UST train because they allowed NU to score 90 points. So, but Colin Sakawe has made a difference. I said it. He's made the difference. Yung defensively, he guards a lot around the rim, and that's pretty valuable.
Yeah, and just yung big three pa lang, I think why UST is also the team to beat right now. Yung big three pa lang na yun eh. Akowe, Cabanero, and Padrigao. That's probably the best big three out there this season. Add to that yung depth nung lineup nila with like the guys that are suddenly contributing to this team na last year were inconsistent. I think they're the team to beat. With that said, I'm sure Adamson will keep it close. Maybe get a win. That would be huge for them. Any other notes from this game, Gab or Maui? Maybe Maui.
I think we covered mostly naman this game. I expected UST to win, but I was hoping FAU to upset. Kahit ano ako, kahit UST big fan ako. I want the UAP to be more crazy. I was putting up a scenario, a crazy scenario kanina on chat with my cousins. We were watching on Discord, and I think the UAP could be crazier with what's happening right now. It's just too many close games, and it's why we've had so many podcasts.
Ako, meron sa amin. Si Colin Sakawe is kind of a pretty big trash talk. He was trash talking Mo Konate the entire game. And I think you mentioned yung napikon din si Mo Konate in the end game when they tried to hack Howe. They tried to hack yung Colin Sakawe. I think that was more than a hack from Mo Konate. He legit pushed him. So medyo yung napikon din si Mo Konate kay Colin Sakawe. And si Colin Sakawe, he does this. I think he was doing this during the NU game where they lost, but and he played badly.
May mean streak.
Yeah.
Yun, tama.
Nung off-season ko pa to yung sinasabi. Yung maging physical ka kay Colin Sakawe, babawian ka niya. He will get you back if you try to be physical with him, you try to grab him, you throw elbows at him, he will throw those elbows back. He wants the smoke. He's not taking any shit from anyone. So, and also, they didn't need a dominant Colin Sakawe game for UST to win, which is a good sign. As we said, they have so many weapons. Nick Cabanero pa lang. Yung mga moves ni Nick. What the hell, man? He pushed Mo Konate out of the way for end one, I think, or a layup. Like, what the hell? This guy is a
Na-miss na pero na-rebound di ako. But I remember that play. That was crazy.
Oh. So, pero yung mga moves niya, yung step and then spin and then fade away, or those step, spin, fade away, yung up and under and then lay up. Ganda. His handles have very much improved since his freshman year. This guy is pro ready. Someone from the KBL or the B League should be taking notice of Nick Cabanero. He's definitely been playing great. And I think for those of us who called that Nick Cabanero would lead the league in scoring, I think we're being proven right. Scoring machine. Mga galaw niya, ganda. Ang ganda panoorin.
Tsaka I think the best thing that is work on, you mentioned yung handles, is really taking care of the ball. Diba? Kasi in previous seasons, even when help arrived, diba, he was averaging a lot of turnovers. That and playmaking, I think, has really played a big part on why his game looks so complete.
Yeah, I think just to end yung Colin Sakawe comment, like I love the battle with Mo Konate. I think these two are the two best FSAs this season. Mo Konate was the best FSA last year. I'm sure Colin Sakawe knows that and was extra motivated to show up against Mo Konate this season. So I love that battle. I guess that's it for today's episode. This was supposed to be a short midweek episode pero grabe yung games natin. So napahaba din yung usapan. Ang daming nangyari on and off the court. That's it for today's episode. We will definitely cover the games this coming weekend. We have a bunch of big games coming. Please, if you haven't yet, like this video, comment on down below on your thoughts about the games today. Subscribe and share with your friends. And remember, Nick Cabanero, you better practice your Korean or your Japanese. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.